Thank you for tuning in to episode 9 of the NC Chambers podcast, Relaunching North Carolina, Perspectives from NC Business Leaders. The goal of this series is to make sure we're capturing and amplifying the voice of the business community as we move forward with reopening our state's economy and getting folks back to work. Today, we're honored to have with us Curt Ladig, President and CEO of Delta Dental of North Carolina. Curt was named President and CEO of Delta Dental North Carolina in January 2011. Under Mr. Ladig's leadership, the company has grown its customer base by 500% and is one of the fastest growing Delta Dental organizations in the U.S. Shortly after his arrival in North Carolina, Curt initiated the Smiles for Kids program with the Delta Dental Foundation, which helps at-risk children receive direct oral care services or oral health education. The program has now contributed over $420,000 and has helped 300,000 children and their families across the state. Curt received a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Accounting from Indiana University, Bloomington. Prior to joining Delta Dental of North Carolina, he held the titles of Chief Financial Officer and eventually Chief Operating Officer at Delta Dental of Kentucky. He currently serves on numerous boards for organizations including Leadership North Carolina, the Alice Aycock Poe Center for Health Education, the Wake Ed Partnership, the NC Chamber, and others. Curt also serves on the Board of Advisors for the UNC Adams School of Dentistry. His personal interests include time with family, Grand Canyon hiking, piano, ballroom dancing, being an instrument-rated pilot, and traveling. Curt, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
So before we get into the formal discussion on COVID-19 and its impacts on the business community as you see them, I'd love for you to, in your own words, tell us what your ties to the statewide business community are.
Well, thank you, Emmy. I moved here to North Carolina about 10 years ago. Until that time, I had never stepped foot in this great state. I don't know why being here, but the reason I came to North Carolina and currently live in Raleigh was for the job at Delta Dental North Carolina. The company wasn't doing very well at the time, and as I looked at data, I saw that North Carolinians were paying the 4th highest cost per capita for oral care in the United States of America.
Oh, wow.
Carolina is not a top 10 high-cost state, so something was out of whack. And my passion is to ensure that people have the broadest access to affordable oral care, because if they have that access and it's more affordable, then they're more likely to get the care that they need, and therefore we're improving lives of North Carolinians across this great state.
Great. Well, I think in light of that, we can forgive you for not having visited North Carolina prior to your migration here. You're forgiven, Curt.
Now that I'm here, it may be hard to get rid of me.
I hope it is. We're not going to try. So let's dive into the COVID talk. I'm hoping it hasn't personally impacted you that much. I think a lot of us know someone who, God forbid, might have lost someone to COVID-19, might have lost a job due to the pandemic. But how would you say it's impacted you personally?
Well, fortunately, I've known no one directly, personally that has tested positive with the virus. So there's much to be thankful for in that regard. I know that there are many others that can't say that same thing, and my sympathies go with them that have lost dear ones, and certainly hope those that have tested positive will be feeling much better soon. For all of us, though, there are moments that only come once that cannot be repeated. For me, it was the birth in May of my first granddaughter.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of the current situation, I couldn't be there. I couldn't be at that moment in the hospital or for those first few weeks to hold her. So, that's a lost opportunity. Then there's my mother's family's, which was going to be their 79th annual reunion.
Oh, wow.
Canceled in August. Again, another once in a moment opportunity. And, as I was talking to my mom, the last time and the only other time that this reunion was canceled after 79 years was in World War II.
Oh my gosh.
The tire drive and shortage for the war effort, so they couldn't drive to meet together for that reunion. And here it's all these years later till, again, it had to be canceled again. Now, let me say, for those that put a high premium on accuracy there, let me just say I was not old enough to experience it. That was just a story that was told to me about that time.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, Curt.
Yeah. But I would say, on a positive note, you asked about how it's personally impacted me. I see neighbors getting to know one another better. Mm-hmm. I've long said that the technology that we rely on, and that we're even using today in this interview, has connected us to people and information around the world at the expense of disconnecting us from our neighbor next door. Mm-hmm. Now that we want to get out of the house and take a break from the computer screens that we're using more often than not, more people are getting out to know one another better across the fence. And I think that's a positive.
That's absolutely a positive. You're one of our state's foremost business leaders. So I'd love to hear you share your thoughts about how employers are looking at this situation. It's definitely not a linear process to recovery, I don't think. But what are you and your peers saying about the pandemic and its impact?
Well, certainly at Delta Dental, North Carolina, and for many of my colleagues and businesses across this state, our immediate requirements were to focus on keeping our customers and our employees safe, mm-hmm. also serving those same customers and staying in business. I'm not sure many of us expected this to last as long as it has.
Yeah.
Many of us, I'm sure there were some out there, and congratulations to you, that had a pandemic COVID-19 package sitting on the shelf about what we needed to do.
Right.
About that, right? So, we had to pivot and adjust, but now we've had to focus on a much longer term impact than what we have expected, and what we need to do to stay relevant and to continue to serve our customers' needs and retain and even retrain our employees with the skills necessary in the new economy, as I call it. This is an inflection point in my mind that can create opportunity for those that are willing to adapt and choose to see things differently.
Great. Yeah. So along those same lines, you mentioned the agility of businesses and their ability to pivot. What other advice can you share with other business leaders who maybe don't have the breadth of experience that you do, and are looking for some encouragement or some tactics that they can use to deal with this uncertainty right now?
Well, I think first and foremost is to stay focused on your customers and your employees. Mm-hmm. Of course, you may have to retool and retrain, as I said just earlier, but if you stay focused on your vision, your values, your customers, and your employees, you will have enhanced your ability to weather the storm and be stronger as a result. Step up to the challenges before us. Let's not shrink from them. Mm-hmm. There's opportunity in change, and we just need to stay strong and stay together through this time. Maybe I could share an example of something.
I would love that. Yeah,
something we're trying over at Delta Dental in North Carolina. As the state's fastest growing dental insurance company, we are constantly preparing for open enrollments with our customers. They sign up for the dental insurance and they get their new dental card and benefit information, and we explain to them how all that works. And certainly, more often than not, that's done at an employee health fair or an meeting in person. So again, if you know anything about the insurance industry, that's a critical component of connecting and engaging with our customers. But we won't have that option this year. So we are working on creating videos and interactive presentations, virtual town hall meetings, if you will, and more, so that we can continue delivering the same quality of service without that in-person and face-to-face interaction that we've become accustomed to. So again, what I'd say, let's all step up to the challenges that this presents, not shrink from them, and find ways to engage with our customers and serve our customers just in a different way.
Absolutely. Those are great ideas. And I think part of the thing that some business leaders might be struggling with now, maybe in some industries more so than others, is employee morale and how to keep that as high as it can be during the pandemic. What is Delta Dental doing right now for its employees to ensure that morale stays high?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question. I mean, I think that what we're doing specifically would be to make sure that our employees feel connected,
Right.
appreciated. You know, I know I get around the state for Quinmans County and Avery County and everywhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
My 10 years getting to know the wonderful people across this great state. But, you know, when I'm in the office, I like to engage then with my associates that are doing the great work for our customers. They're the ones that are closest to our customers, engaging with them every day.
Right.
They need to ensure that they, again, as I mentioned, feel connected and appreciated, because they're the ones that represent our product, our service, and our brand to the community. So what are we doing? Some of it is we ask them, what do you want to do? And they came up with some really great ideas, some really cool things. We had a day in the life series for our associates to learn more about what some of their other colleagues are doing. And other,
Oh, wow.
so you could, you know, maybe you're not in the sales team, but you could learn from one of the sales executives about what the day in the life of being a Delta Dental of North Carolina sales executive is, or what our Vice President of Government Relations and Community Engagement is doing, and what her job is like day in and day out. So I think that was a really helpful series to kind of pause. We get busy doing our own thing, right, and working,
Right.
but to better appreciate one another and what we're doing together to serve our clients. We also had virtual trivia outings and guess who test, and we even and what we called Taco Tuesdays and Winnie the Pooh Wednesdays. So maybe some other time I'll tell you about what all that entailed.
I definitely want to, I think Taco Tuesday is pretty self-explanatory, but I definitely need to hear more about this Winnie the Pooh Wednesday.
Yeah, there's some interesting wisdom you can learn from Winnie the Pooh, apparently.
Oh, yes, I know. I love it. So, Curt, this ties, your previous comments definitely tie back into the notion that you brought up earlier about how even though this pandemic has caused a lot of hardship for our state citizens and our global citizens, it has brought us together in some ways that maybe we hadn't been before, and it's helped us connect in ways that we haven't. And I know that's something that a lot of people find encouraging during this time. What else is encouraging you during this pandemic, if anything?
Well, I think what's really encouraged me is it's made many of us realize even more what is really important and hold those close to us just a little closer, reach out a little more often, and care deeper than we have before. I think it's really encouraged to me. I see a lot of grace being given. I see a lot of people that I think now, even at a deeper level, care about one another and how we're all doing in our shared community. Certainly we've had many challenges over these last months, and I know that together we can weather all of this and get through it to a brighter future ahead. And that's what encourages me.
Great. We're talking about businesses, and of course, revenue and profits are always going to be important. But as you mentioned earlier, at Delta Dental and at businesses throughout our state, we know that it's people who are always the priority. And I would love to hear your thoughts on how businesses can continue to make their people, whether it be their employees, their customers, any sort of stakeholder, how businesses can continue making people a priority during this time.
Well, I think you've probably gathered during our conversation today that no matter the circumstance, you mentioned this time, our customer and our employees are always the priority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, if you stay focused on your organization's vision and purpose, and you stay focused on your why and its people who give meaning and life to the product and the brand and the services I mentioned before, then all things will come together as they should, and that we can get through this time. You know, when I came to Delta Dental 10 years ago, as I mentioned, the company was actually about ready to go belly up and about ready to close its doors. So you talk about some difficult times and
Right.
some morale amongst the associates that give life to that brand. But my focus was on the customer and the employees, and now we have grown our customer base at Delta Dental by over 500% these past 10 years.
Wow.
And thanks to the persistence and hard work of my associates, this coming September marks our 50th year anniversary of Delta Dental providing dental benefits across this state. So, you know, again, the focus doesn't change whether it was then or now. It's still on our customers and our associates, the people that matter about what we do and the difference that we can make across this great state.
I think you're so right. You know, I mean, a mission is more than just a statement on a website or on a sheet of paper. It's the why behind what we do. And as long as people stay focused on that, I think you're absolutely right. You know, we'll continue to move forward. Curt, are there any last thoughts that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Again, I would just ask everyone to, I'd like to see us all as citizens of our shared community to continue to practice healthy habits when we're together. You know, we hear about the 3 W's. Wear a mask, wait 6 feet, and wash our hands. You know, being in a healthcare company, certainly health is important because it's important to everything about our community, economic vitality and mobility, about our families and all that we do. So let's all pull together to get through this. If we do our part individually, we can enhance our community's health and its economic health as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Curt Ladig, President and CEO of Delta Dental, North Carolina. Curt, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Well, thank you, Emmy. It was wonderful to be with you and your audience.